Bien, buenos días.
Good morning. Good morning. Let's start of this event. This event held by CEPES and together with the Ministry of Work, of Labor and Social Economy. This event has been prepared to present in Spain the Social Economy European Plan. Thank you for your attendance. And as I was saying, it's a pleasure for us to share this current situation of social economy and share it with you and with more than 200 people that joined online. We are accompanied by general directors of different regions, Asturias, Murcia, Euskadi, the Secretary General of Galicia, Murcia, Madrid, and also we have people coming from other regions, Castilla, León, Extremadura, Cantabria, join online. So more than 50% of responsible for social economy in the different regions have joined. We are accompanied by people coming from city halls, Pinto and others, and other representatives that are following this event on streaming from France, Italy, Portugal, Argentina, United States, Macedonia, the United States, and Switzerland. So this event has implied many expectations. So greetings, warm greetings to all of you. I think it is a very important day for social economy and for CEPES. We present today in Spain the European Action Plan for Social Economy, which is the European Union proposal to put economy in the service to the people. I believe this is a very definite title, which represents what social economy represents at this moment. So the European Union is in favor of social economy, and undoubtedly this is the most important exercise, or I would say the best European public policy for social economy in history, the most important one in history. And we have co-built a social economy policy for social economy and with the social economy. So it is important because the European institutions, governments, states, and organizations have collaborated in coming up with this action plan. This action plan has a main goal: to build a social economy ecosystem in Europe. And to build this social economy ecosystem in Europe, it is important to raise awareness among governments on how important social economy is. And this has three aims. First of all, a legislative framework. We need to work at a legislative level. Many governments do not have legislation for social economy. So one of the most important aims is to having social economy regulations in the different territories. We cannot understand that social economy is going to grow if there is no legal support and there is no definition of social economy at the European level. So the European plan aims at having a definition at the European level, a definition including the diversity of actors and families of social economy, cooperatives, mutualities, integration, companies, and diversity as a whole. So a definition that will be applied in the context of each country, because each country is different in its definition of social economy, and the plan has to include this diversity as well. And no tension should be generated among actors and institutions, which is important to have a social economy definition making social economy to grow. So without any kind of doubt, this will enlarge the conceptual perimeter of social economy, and this enable us to reach the second goal, to grow and recognize an social economy and getting more visibility for social economy. And the third most important goal of this action plan is to pave the way for social economy to grow. This is the main challenge ahead: grow to change scales. In Europe, we have 3 million enterprises that represent 5.6 million, 5.6% of economy, and we need to reach 22 million of people in 2030. So there's a long way to go. And if we think about having 13, 14 countries where social economy accounts for 0.5 or 3% growth is very important. So in countries that have 8 or 10%, France, Spain, Portugal, Turkey, etc., we want to grow from that basis, which will allow us to have a better exchange to influence public policies, and organizations and states should work to visibilize even further social economy we uphold. So the plan is going to be key to maximize the contribution of social economy to the goals of European Union: sustainability, territorial cohesion, social cohesion, digitalization, a response to a demographic change. The idea is to lead green and digital transitions, which is important to identify social economy in this regard. So this contribution to the European Union's goals must be based on our model, our business model, a business model with democratic governance, a model that reduces inequalities, betting for inclusion and for sustainable development of territories. This is our proposal facing the action plan. But the action plan was not thought about yesterday and is to be implemented today. We need to look back and see what happened 8-10 years ago when law was passed in Spain for social economy, and then the French law and then the Portuguese law were passed. And all this generated a global recognition of social economy. In 2014, in the Rome conference, entitled Releasing the Potential of Social Economy. In 2015, 3 important milestones happened. First of all, Social Economy Europe created a white paper for social economy. This white paper is called Social Economy Retakes the Initiative. So this concept of retaking the initiative implies giving social economy momentum in Europe. 2 things happened in December the same year. The Council of Ministers of the European Union approves unanimously recognizing social economy as a key vector for the future development of Europe. And that was the beginning of the new policies towards social economy. That happens now. And then in December, within the framework of the European Conference in Luxembourg, led at the time by Minister Nicholas Schmit, and we'll see how important he was for this process, the creation of a monitoring committee was created, made up by 6 countries, France, Italy, Spain, Slovenia, Slovakia, and Luxembourg at the time, in order to sign and agree specific public policies for social economy. This monitoring committee that was set up in 2015 to support social economy, 9 months ago in Paris, was gathered more than 23 countries that signed unanimously an agreement to come up with public policies for social economy. As you can see, the trajectory was very important. After these milestones, Bratislava, Madrid, Paris, Gothenburg, and other important cities and events consolidated social economy process to, and I'm not going to take much of your time, until December of last year, where Commissioner Nicholas Schmit, who was the Minister of Labor and Employment of Luxembourg, together with the Commissioner Versión, approved an action plan for social economy. And this action plan is what we are dealing with today. So we need to work on that today. We are at a moment in time where everybody speaks about social economy. The European Commission, the European Parliament approve this legislation. The ILO, for the first time in its 100 years of history, came up with a report on social economy. The Davos Forum also created a forum on social economy. The OECD created some legislative frameworks for social economy and also a legal framework. 2 days ago, the United Nations, we participated in a meeting in the United Nations in New York for the resolution that will be led by Spain in the United Nations on social economy. And Senegal, Indonesia, Costa Rica, Argentina, Uruguay, and France, Spain, of course, took the floor. So many countries in the world spoke on social economy, about social economy with the same language. So it is a very important moment in history. And the presidency of Spain of the second half of last year is going to be relevant because a recommendation will be approved within the framework of the Spanish presidency, a recommendation on the action plan for all European countries, which is going to be another very important milestone for the future of social economy. Spain is leading currently social economy in Europe. This is the only country which has a ministry for labor and social economy. We are the only country to have a strategy on social economy. So we also have a very specific structure for social economy. So we need to, of course, come up with a specific action plan, and this action plan is a historical moment for social economy to develop, make a step forward, and function to improve competitiveness. Maravillas Espín is today with us, the Director General, our guardian angel of social economy in this government, and we would like to thank her for the support and the collaboration. We also have other governments of Euskadi, Galicia, and Murcia who work hard on this regard. So we need to talk about the action plan today. Thank you all for being here. And also, we will have Ruth Passerman with us today, and I would like to say hello to her. And it's a welcome now to give the floor to the manager of social economy and inclusion of the European Union. Before giving the floor, giving Ruth the floor. Good morning, Ruth. How are you? I would like to thank her for her availability and for the head of the unit, industry, and also SMEs units of the European Union has been very favorable to our work. So their response was immediate. That is why I would like to thank them for the support, Ruth and Anna. They are both a faithful reflection of the commitment of the European Commission to visibility and recognition of social economy. So thank you, Ruth. Thank you and Anna for your presence. And Ruth, whenever you want, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, and thank you very much for your kind introduction. And also, well, I'm a bit embarrassed now because I think you've said everything that I would have said. So, well, I'll try to go a bit deeper on the presentation of the European action plan for the social economy than what you did. And indeed, it is important that all stakeholders are engaged with us. It's a very ambitious plan. I think, but it does require that everybody contributes. The situation, you mentioned rightly that it was in a long time in preparing this plan. The situation in which it has come about, I think the also in particular the COVID before, okay, and now was that I think there's been a greater recognition of the resilience of social economy organizations during the period of crisis, and therefore also I think the recognition that thanks to its strong local roots, social economy can offer innovative bottom-up solutions to many of the global challenges today. And unfortunately, we have a lot. There's climate change, there's digitalization. Now we have a war on our borders, social exclusion, and the need to revitalize our democracies. And all of these reasons is why Commission has decided to put the social economy at the heart of the of the European political agenda. So as you mentioned, I think you did, there are 2.8 million social economy entities in Europe which employ 13 million people, 13.5 million people. But there are enormous disparities in these numbers between member states. Spain is one, as you already mentioned, is one of the countries where there is a very strong social economy presence. It plays a key role in providing quality jobs, in contributing to the overall economic activity, particularly at local and regional level, and in providing care and social services. But in other countries, it is not the case. It is largely underdeveloped, and it represents only even less than 1%. The worst case scenario, it's even less than 1% of jobs in the social economy. So from our point of view, the social action plan has a double ambition. On one hand, to set out a vision on how the European Union itself should support the economy until 2030, but also to allow all the relevant public authorities and stakeholders to act jointly to foster the development of social economy at their level, of course, considering the different starting points throughout the Union. And therefore, you're very important partners for us in the implementation of the action plan. Now, as I think I think the first added value of the Commission Action Plan is to provide a definition of what we understand by social economy at European level. The proposed definition is based on the main feature of social economy and social entities, the primacy of people, as well of social or environmental purpose over profit. Secondly, the reinvestment of most of the profits to carry out activities in the interest of the members or the users of society at large. And third, the democratic or participatory governance. So these points perhaps are obvious to you because social economy is well established in Spain, but it's not the case everywhere. And we were really specifically asked to bring clarity, while at the same time taking into account the very different national approaches. So we think we found the right balance, we hope, on this definition. We understand that it has been well received, so we're happy about that. On top of that, more importantly, perhaps the action plan proposes around 60 concrete measures, including 10 so-called key actions. And the aim is really to unlock the potential of the social economy entities in all the dimension of the social economy ecosystems. They are built around three pillars. The first pillar concerns the development of an enabling framework for the social economy. Policy and legal frameworks need to be adapted to the specific business model. So we will engage with all relevant authorities and stakeholders around these objectives, including at national, regional, and international level. As was mentioned before, both the ILO and the OECD are moving, and now also the UN are advancing on the issue of social economy, which is very good. One of the areas that, of course, are covered by this need to look at the specific business model is the issue of state aid. The action plan announces actions which are aimed at guiding public authorities on how to use existing possibilities offered by state aid rules for the benefit of social economy entities. During the preparation of the action plan, we found out that stakeholders reported that often public authorities limit the amount of aid to social enterprises to the general de minimis threshold, which is okay, it's not wrong, but they don't consider other possibilities that would be in line with state aid rules, such as regional aid, aid to the recruitment of disadvantaged workers. And in both these cases, actually, more, a higher level of aid is possible on top of the general de minimis threshold. Similarly, existing rules in relation to services of general economic interest also would open possibilities for an increased aid to social enterprises that provide such services. So in this context, the Commission in the action plan commits to consider whether it is necessary to ease the existing rules in relation to aid for social enterprises access to finance, and as regards aid for hiring disadvantaged and severely disadvantaged workers. We already have some evidence that social enterprises face a market failure on access to finance, and therefore we're reflecting on how this market failure can be better addressed than it is today. This would be in the context of the revision of the general block exemption regulation. We're going to launch a study soon to gather further evidence on this. The second pillar is about opening up opportunities for the social economy by facilitating access to finance, business support, and networks. We want concrete and direct support to be available to the actors on the ground in all the relevant areas to unlock their potential. For example, this year, InvestEU program has become operational. One of the building blocks of the InvestEU program is the so-called social investment and skills window. It has an allocation of 2.8 billion until 2027. One of the policy objectives of the InvestEU is to mobilize private finances targeted to the needs of social enterprises. To this end, we have financial support takes the form of guarantees to enable access to loans, equity and quasi-equity investments in social enterprises and impact-driven enterprises, as well as capital investments in financial intermediaries. And for the support of the microfinance and social enterprises, the main implementing partner is the European Investment Fund. In April 22, the European Investment Fund has launched calls for expression of interest for access to funding. So you can find the relevant information on the InvestEU portal of the EIF, European Investment Fund website. On top of financial support, we have also launched advisory support, such as business development services. This has started in July 2022. It is called Social Inclusive Finance Technical Assistance, so-called SIFTA, Social Inclusion Financial Technical Assistance. This is managed by the European Investment Bank and is funded by the European Union under the InvestEU Advisory Hub. Under this program, selected microfinance and social enterprise finance institutions can receive targeted capacity building services in the form of tailored trainings, workshops, peer-to-peer exchanges, and study visits.
Recording in progress.
Ruth, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Okay. Sorry, there was a problem with the internet connection. So we are recovering you, so no problem at all.
Shall I continue?
Yes, sorry.
Okay. Okay. I hear an echo. Okay. Well, I was really at the conclusion, just to mention the third pillar, which concerns the promotion of better understanding of the specificity of the social economy by relevant stakeholders, including policy makers, financial intermediaries, social partners, and so on. There really has to be a better recognition of the existence of social economy enterprise and the impact that they have on the economy. And when there will be this recognition, all the other things will fall together in a way also. So there we are. To make a success of the social economy action plan, it is important that we all contribute. So European level, national level, regional level, local level, but also the stakeholders, the representatives
Ruth, can you hear us again? Hello? Hello? Can you switch on your camera? Okay, very sorry there is a problem with internet connection. Very sorry for all these interruptions. Okay, so I think you can keep on your speed, sorry.
I see my, oh, I finished actually, I mean.
I'm going just to invite President Pedreño just to come and to welcome you. And I think you can, podéis aplaudir, por favor. Okay. So thank you, Ruth. Now, President Pedreño and General Director of the Spanish government is coming here. No, don't switch on your camera, please, Ruth. Perdón. ¿Os podéis sentar?
Aquí. ¿Se conecta? Sí, bueno. Ruth, muchísimas gracias por la presentación.
Ruth, thank you so much for the presentation of the action plan of the 3 pillars comprised by the action plan. The first part, as you mentioned, about the definition and the concept part of the social economy so that it doesn't generate any conflicts between countries when it comes to developing their own laws. And the second pillar related to the growth and the funding for the expansion of the companies within the social economy environment. And the third pillar that you mentioned that was very relevant, and you said something very important, when the contribution of a social economy is recognized, is acknowledged, the path will be much easier. And when it comes to acknowledging and giving visibility to social economy are extremely important. As you have pointed out, there's a very important path ahead for us, because as you said, the contribution of social economy is quite limited. And the percentage, the 0.5 to up to 2% in many of the countries, whereas in other countries we see a very important growth. I really want to thank you for all your words, and I would like to ask you a question in connection with what you have pointed out in your presentation. The action plan is aimed at promoting social economy in all states, in all territories, which is something that you have highlighted. And this is aiming at creating positive environments in each territory in order to promote the creation of enterprises within the environment of the social economy. And in order to make this happen, we need to find a cooperation from the Commission with the governments of each of the countries, also with the regions, in order to promote the social economy growth. And also we need to cooperate with the organizations that are also key within this process. In Spain, as in many other countries, the promotion of the collective growth, the creation of employment under the umbrella of an entrepreneurship that is common. And we have a very important challenge ahead of us, which is attracting young talents to social economy. This is also very important. So collective entrepreneurship, and also, if possible, that this creation of employment, of jobs, is much more intensive among the younger population. So what are the measures that this action plan provides us? What is the contribution of the action plan so that the territories and organizations can grow? How is the Commission thinking to convey the commitment of the Commission with this action plan in order to develop policies that promote the growth of social economy, and especially among youngsters?
Yes, thank you for your question. I think, well, first of all, as I said, one of the main outputs of one of the main initiatives which are announced in the communication is a council recommendation. Now, a council recommendation means basically It's a council recommendation on developing social economy framework conditions. Basically, it is about the Commission recommending to member states what should be done to create a favorable environment for social economy. And this is, of course, the basis. I don't think it's for Spain, many of the things will probably have already be done. But the key, it is quite important that there is, the starting point is to create an enabling framework, both legislative, like you mentioned that Spain is one of the few countries that has a framework law supporting social economy. So to have something similar everywhere, recommending member states to have something similar, recommending to member states to adapt their administrative and institutional structure to support better social economy entities, and also how they can engage better with all the social economy stakeholders. This is, of course, so why am I mentioning this? Because laying the basis of the legal recognition of social economy companies is also the basis to start to allow their development, their startup at the first point, their development, and therefore also the possibility to hire more people, including specifically young people. Now, to mention specifically young people, we have also created, together with the OECD, a new so-called Youth Entrepreneurship Policy Academy. So this Youth Entrepreneurship Policy Academy aims to strengthen youth entrepreneurship policies and programs in the member states. It is basically a peer learning network where government representatives can learn from international experts and from other colleagues from other countries about new developments on youth entrepreneurship today, success factors and pitfalls to avoid. And it will also involve young entrepreneurs and other relevant stakeholders from the finance sector, business support organizations. And it will be organized around a series of in-person and online events and seminars, which cover selected themes across in the next 3 years. And so we are now really at the stage of starting this, and very soon, actually, the member states will be invited to nominate delegates to this Youth Entrepreneurship Policy Academy, which is going to be launched the beginning of 23. Also, I think important for expanding the possibility of social economy enterprises is, and therefore also the possibility of hiring, is the fact that the action plan announces targeted support to help social economy entities to scale up and to have better access to markets. For example, the Commission will ensure that relevant business support structures at European level also share experience on how to provide tailored support to social economy entities. This means what we have is a digital transformation accelerator under the European Digital Innovation Hub program. We have the European Europe network and the European clusters platform. So as you see from these examples, the role of the member states, as well of the competent regional and local authorities, is really instrumental to make the best out of the action plan. A last point I would like to mention in this area is social innovation. We have, in the programming period of the ESF 21-27, launched reserved 200 million for these 7 years for social innovation. And this will be managed will allow us to have a whole new social innovation program, which is basically focused on both, let's say, the work has 2 strands. One strand is the exchange of good practices and between operators in the social innovation world, so not only member states or local or regional authorities, but really incubators and so on, and also call for proposals which aim to upscale and transfer successful social innovation projects. And this is also something which can be useful for the expansion of social innovation enterprises. all of this is driven, if you want, through a commission expert group on the social economy, which comprises both representatives of the member states and stakeholders from the social economy. So this is how it's organized. Thanks.
Muchas gracias, Ruth.
Thank you very much, Ruth. I have the feeling that some of the things that you have mentioned, can you hear me well, Ruth? Yes. I have the feeling that many of these policies that you have pointed out, such as the Entrepreneurship Policies Academy or the Learning Network and the Hub that you have mentioned, could also be used by the different governments within their own territories. And this would sort of close the circle of this raising the awareness towards social economy. So this academy does not need to be at a European level, but it can also be applied at a local level or regional level. I don't know if you got that.
The question is for me? Okay.
No, era simplemente,
I was just it was just a remark to highlight that many of these things that you have mentioned could also be used in each of the member states and each of the territories.
Yes, indeed. And in particular, of course, the Youth Entrepreneurship Policy Academy that we are doing together with the OECD will include also non-European countries. I mean, so it's for the whole OECD. Just to be clear, but all the, as I said at the beginning, everything that can be done at, I mean, it requires an effort at different levels, and it should be. I mean, it's not really what Europe can do is give an impulse, or the international level is give an impulse, but then the actual work has to be done at national, regional level. I mean, in Spain, there's a lot of the Comunidades Autónomas have a lot of independence, so a lot of things actually are at the level of the regions and not of the national level, and therefore it or at the local level, a lot of things actually can be done to support social enterprises at the local level. So I think there is really clearly all the different actors that have to intervene at the whatever is the correct level, let's say. Does that answer your question or your comment?
Sí. No, sin duda.
That is, yes, for sure. And actually, it connects to the next question that I would like to ask to Maravillas Espin. I think she has found a very favorable or positive environment for social economy. We have been the first country in Europe to have social economy legislation, and also we have been the first to use the PERTE funds towards the recovery of social economy, and we have even placed social economy as a referral within the operational programs, and therefore we are the only country that has an operating and active program within the social economy within the whole of Europe, and this is benefiting many companies. And as Ruth has mentioned, this program is being complemented by all the territories. All of the regions have whether strategies or different action plans or programs to develop their social economy. But I would like to ask Maravillas about this. The action plan establishes a third level with up to 50 measures for this new business fabric. And considering the levels that Ruth has mentioned, the state level and the regional level, my question would be, how do these align, or how can they complement each other in order to promote a further growth of social economy, the action plan with the Spanish strategy, with the regional policies? And with this question, we want to sort of round up the topic. Well, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to to thank, and I cannot skip this. It's very important that I express my gratitude for the opportunity of being here in order to deepen the knowledge and to go further in the exchange of opinions and ideas about this such important measure at a European level, at a global level, I would say, related to the social economy. And I would like to thank the representative of the European Commission for her presence here today and for her work as a whole in the field of social economy. I would also like to thank all our colleagues from the different regions that are here with us today. And to go further into the question that you have asked me, it's not so much about what we could do, but about what we must do in order to be aligned. If we all joined forces and work together in the same direction, and for us, to be clear, the goal is social economy. If we join our forces, this will allow us to achieve our goals. Obviously, in our country, we have been lucky enough, and let's say this is not out of luck. It's the result of a lot of work, of a lot of people committing themselves to have created a very positive environment for social economy. But we need to sort of promote these actions so that we can reach our citizens and to achieve a sustainable development that is also based in the well-being of people. That is our goal, the people and the environments in which we grow. So under this premise, we are working, as you all know, you are aware of the new social economy strategy in our country that follows the single strategy in Europe. We have a national strategy in terms of social economy, and the methodology, I have to say, has been very important. This has been very cooperative. All the geographical levels have worked in this, all the groups within the social economy, and also the academy, which is one of the important elements within our ecosystem. Within this methodology, we have started with a SWOT analysis, where we have exposed all the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats for the social economy, and all the actors who have contributed to this strategy have agreed in most of the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges that we are finding looking forward. So we have a consensus as to where we're aiming for, and this national strategy is looking towards that goal. We want to have a permanent dialogue with all the actors within an ecosystem that is very positive for the social economy, and the driving policies that are being developed from the state level and also even from the town halls are supporting this ecosystem. Organizations are having a key role within all this process. And I have to insist in the role of the academy that has been very important in this process, that have supported it very strongly. I think I have to say that we are very much in line with the European Action Plan. We're already running this race. We are already moving forward within this path, and also in line with other types of international instruments. It has been mentioned, these OECD recommendation, and also the upcoming resolution by the United Nations. And For sure, we have also learned from the existing plans from the regional communities. We have had 9 different action plans from the regional governments, and we have also learned from the local area. And this is why we can encompass a global and diverse view, and we need to achieve this view to implement it everywhere. If we are not flexible, if we have not this diverse vision, it's difficult to keep growing. And this is the view that we are applying to achieve this goal. The goal being to show that the social economy model can be a model, a business model that can be used in all the sectors within our country, that is mainly based in the well-being in the people, but that is at the same time very competitive. And many of the goals, such as visibility and public administration's involvement, are key for this. We're talking about visibility, looking outside, but also towards the inside. It's key that we gather the knowledge of what social economy is from the public administrations, so that we can really ground these policies, so to speak. The second axis would be the improvement of the competitiveness of these companies within the social economy, also entrepreneurship based in the emerging sectors, and also social sustainability, promotion of equality in all sectors, and the regional structure in a territory such as ours that is quite decentralized, where there are many different forces that can work together in order to reinforce a social economy. Within this 4 axes or pillars, we have different lines of action and different specific actions, and we have many people in charge from the state administration, but also at the regional government level and the local level, so that we can see these measures in practice. So for sure, we are in line, we're working already on it, and in this event, we can see that there are many people that are already working in this. Thank you, Maravillas. I think that in 2023, with the European presidency of Spain in the second half of the year, having San Sebastian as the capital of social economy this year, we will be focusing all our efforts, both state and European organizations, in order to approve the plan, and also the recommendation that needs to be approved. Let's hope that this is passed in the first half of the year. And the recommendation that the European Commission is going to give to the different member states, so that they have specific legislation regarding social economy. And then we have this hardest part, and Ruth knows about this, which is the implementation of the plan with the policies that we are proposing, because the difficult part is to move from the theory to the practice. So one question for Ruth. We have talked about entrepreneurship, we have talked about employment. 2 very quick questions. In what other lines within the action plan do you think we can find that important cooperation with the governments of the different countries? And the second question would be, this is more specific, so to speak. What is the role that the European Commission is going to attach to the main actors within social economy, such as the representative organizations of the enterprises within the social economy?
Yeah, thank you. Well, as far as cooperation with the member states is concerned, of course, the first thing is indeed the Council recommendation that I mentioned before. This Council, so just to clarify, I think what you also said, the Commission will make a proposal before the summer, and then this has to be adopted by the Council, that is the member states, and we really count on Spain because this will be the second semester of 23, there will be Spanish presidency, and we really count on Spain to drive this through and get the adoption by the Council, because that's what counts, not so much the Commission proposal in this case. So so that's the first thing where we need cooperation with the member states. The second point is that we have also put in the plan the fact that we will do a series of webinars, let's say to train the public administrators on various issues where we don't think that we need to change European law, but we just need to, we think that it should be applied better. And a typical example is public procurement. Socially responsible public procurement is absolutely legal and accepted by the European rules. But the reality is that in the myriads of public procurement calls, usually not at national level, I mean, they're at national level, but also at local, most are at municipal level, actually. It's not normal. It's not, I mean, it's easier to just take the cheaper offer, yes, instead of looking at what we would call the most economically advantageous offers, which takes into account also other aspects, such as, environmentally or social sustainability. So we will be doing webinars on the issue of socially responsible public procurement, and this is really, in a kind, if you want, of training. They will be organized in 12 member states, including Spain. Of course, member states can also take measures themselves to support the development of social responsible public procurement, for example, by adopting policy orientations or strategies, developing guidance at the right administrative level, training locally public officials, and so on. Another area where we need to be looking at, where member states are better placed, is taxation. Member states, of course, I mean, the taxation is mainly responsibility of member states, and the framework for the taxation of social economy entities and social enterprises can be done at national level. Many countries already provide incentives, which range from corporate tax exemptions on retained profits, or tax exemptions, or reduced rates, or social insurance costs, which are reduced, or tax reductions for private and institutional donors. These incentives exist. They can be slightly complex. They, of course, are different all over the place, so there is no coordination. And so, there may be some actually difficulty on actually using them or accessing them. So we are not going to intervene on the incentives themselves, but also more on issuing guidance on the taxation frameworks for social economy entities. And another thing which I think is important is the issue of access to finance. Now, here, member states have a big role to play. First, because they manage a lot of European funds, both European funds coming from the European Social Fund or the European Regional Development Fund, and therefore they have a margin of appreciation of whether to use it. So the social economy, as you mentioned, Spain has an operational program which is specifically dedicated to social economy, but it's an exception. And also Spain is an exception in using the money of Next Generation Review of the Recovery and Resilience Plan for a social economy. This is the PERTE, in Spanish PERTE. So this is something, of course, that could be expanded also in other countries. On your second point, what can be done on the issue of social economy representative organizations? I mean, admittedly, at the Commission, we have worked a lot with social economy representative organizations since 10 years, I think, since the Social Business Initiative in 2001. All the work that has been done in the area of social economy has always involved very closely social economy representative organization, notably in this GECES expert group that I mentioned before. We believe that it is really important to listen to the voice to the organizations on the ground, that they have a very important role, both in the development of policy, but also in the actual implementation, in the awareness raising that we mentioned at the beginning as one of the most important things that needs to be done, and therefore also really on the ground. That is why we have actually also included in the action plan that there should be that also resources should be dedicated to the support of social economy representative networks, in particular in the member states where they're not developed, because this is all, linked. So I think that's quite important, that we can also develop the social economy representative organizations, which of course are representative, so they require that there is substrata of social economy organization below that exist on the ground. Okay, yeah, I think that's my answer. Thanks for your question. We working hard to make this happen at all levels, both the public level and let's say the non-public, the enterprises on the ground, and at all levels of the administration. Thanks.
Muchas gracias, Ruth. La segunda parte.
Thank you very much, Ruth. The second part of your answer makes me very happy to hearing the role that the organizations will be given in order to develop all these social economy policies in each of the countries. And with regards to what you have said, I think it's important to highlight the importance of training the public administration employees, civil servants, in order for them to know what the social economy enterprises can provide to a country at all levels. This is a new policy, the training of public servants with regards to social economy and what it implies. I find it's very important, the topic of social clauses, when the implementation of social clauses for the enterprises within the social economy has not had the effect that we were expecting. So if these public servants are trained and they are more aware of what the social economy enterprises can provide, I think this is going to be key. And then you have touched on other topics that are very important, such as taxation or the importance of the European funds. Spain, several years ago, placed the social economy enterprises in as a priority in the granting of these funds, and this has made the CEPES become one of the main organizations within all this environment. So when it comes to cooperating with the government, we believe that this is key to promote it. I'm sure that we will have time to talk about the specific social economy program. Well, thank you very much, Ruth. I'm going to finish with a question to Maravillas.
So, Maravillas, about this action plan, everything we mentioned, how do we make this reach enterprises and companies and organizations? Because at the end of the day, we are companies, and everything that is done with the action plan, these 50 measures, talking about social things, funding, etc., this is transferred to the governments, and the governments should work to make this reach enterprises or government. So has the government of Spain foreseen how can we implement all this with the different regional autonomies or regional bodies? Yeah, the first thing is we are going to put in practice, first of all, and we're going to focus on some of the measures. And the most specific measures is accessing resources. And we're going to use next generation funds for social economy. So this practice has already been developed. Yesterday, we published the call for aids for this integral plan for fostering social economy. And this plan that mobilizes 93.3 million euros is geared towards mainly social economy enterprises and all companies that are really heterogeneous that interact with other bodies and levels. So this might be difficult. And now that we have Ruth on the other side of the screen, let's talk about how difficult it is for us as a state decision makers. We have to, again, make all the machine run smoothly to advance at a reasonable pace, because this is what social economy enterprises need. So this plan it has a continent and a content. So the continent is a legal structure and also a roadmap for the economic transformation, the social economy and care per se. So this legal instrument make it visible what are the sectors that have been identified by the government as lever sectors to or industry to transform the economy with the way we want to transform it. So putting economy in the service of people. Who should it be there? If this is the perfect concept we have, so who should be there? Obviously, social economy. That's why we have a social economy and care per se. And the main goal of this is to focus investment in social economy to address the needs we have detected so that enterprise can unfold all their potentials and become a main actor to develop further economy of care, caring not only for health, but also caring everything that implies the development of a person, the places where they live, the energy they consume, products they take in, services that are being used to make sure welfare is there. So as you can see, it's a transformed concept of care economy. And I wanted to explain this, and I don't know if Ruth is aware of all the details, and if you know what all these parts consist of, especially the social economy per se and the care per se. So this is a tool, which is the continent, let's put it this way, which has a potential for visibilization, which is extremely important, especially for the future. So we have investments, specific investments to foster, to accelerate the transformation of an ecosystem, of a framework which is very favorable, but an environment that requires assistance to develop this favorability, if I might put it this way, of social economy further. And how have we implemented all this? Considering the needs we heard organizations speak about. We know now what the needs are, and we focused all this on 5 different programs within this social economy plan, because we talk about agents that are able to transform companies that face difficulties to move forward. So they transform this in social economy companies to maintain quality jobs. So part of these resources are geared towards honing the mechanisms allowing for transformation, so that when facing an uncertainty moment we are all living now, and where generational replacement is necessary, at this point in time, social economy should have agile, strong tools to make transformation possible. The second program is the innovation program. Innovation with regards to digitalization. Social economy enterprises, as all companies, require digitalization. So we have a specific program in this regard that includes the specificities of social economies for these funds to cover for this digitalization needs. Third, we have another program aimed at younger people to become entrepreneurs through social economy organizations, focusing on the emerging industries we refer to when we talk about the Spanish strategy on social economy. So innovative business that are adapted to the talent given by young entrepreneurs, but based on social economy entrepreneurship, so that jobs are decent job, or this business will last in time, so it will be sustainable in time. The fourth program is a program for intercooperation. If we want social economy entities to be reinforced, we need to work for them with something that is part of their nature, a partnership, so that their activities can become more international or being revitalized internally. So this program aims at fostering this competitive advantage social economy organizations already have. And the last program is aims at sustainability, environmental sustainability and social sustainability, pointing at green transformation, but also supporting organizations that work for the integration of people at risk of vulnerability. This last program has been thought about based on these profiles that are part of social economy. And unfortunately, there's monolithic view of the administration and of the legislation that only considers one business model. We might have skipped many people if we had only a monolithic or a single view. And according to my experience, we know now what we need at a European level, because the recommendation is going to be made in the second semester of next year. So we need a recommendation conveying a diverse message, which implies social economy, the social economy model. The recommendation requires the legislation to be sensible and accept social company enterprises as other companies are accepted. That a recommendation or a legislation accepting and welcoming social economy enterprises. The European legislation has many challenges. So state support is one of the main challenges, generating obstacles so that we can land financial and economical resources that will be set in motion for companies. So these issues should have a top-bottom approach. Bottom-up approach is also possible, but the legislation does not allow us for having more flexibility and welcome social economy companies or enterprises, which makes our life very difficult, especially those working with the funds, and to be able to fulfill with the goals. And I don't know if I made myself clear, Ruth, but we will submit this through the appropriate channel so that we can work to adapt and for this permeabilization of this legislation, allowing us to manage support to companies so that funds arrive to social economy enterprise in a proper way. So I believe what we have to do is the plan that was approved yesterday, that came into force yesterday, that we have to implement by January 14th, will be very important for social economy enterprises and administration. And we need both companies and the administration or the local authorities to manage all this properly. Tomorrow, we will have an event, and we are going to explain and answer to all the doubts that might arise. So we have the call that was published yesterday, inviting all social economies enterprises to submit projects before January 14th. So the 5 action lines that have been presented are very interesting. Now, I would like to thank you for your intervention and your presentation. And I have 2 issues that linger in my mind, as Ruth mentioned at the beginning. The more the contribution of social economy is recognized, the more the field will be leveled at a financial, legislative, and all the domains levels for the support of social economy. Because for recognizing the contribution of social economy, the recommendation that will be adopted in the second semester, probably, of next year is going to be key. A recommendation to governments on the action plan towards social economy. So I think Ruth already has a large document talking about the goals of the recommendation, which is not binding, but this document will help us to raise awareness at a general level on behalf of social economy enterprises. I don't know if both Ruth or Mavi would like to take a final floor. No, it's okay.
Just thank you very much for the invitation. Actually, Spain is a laboratory because you're a front runner compared to other countries. Sorry that I always come back to this. But so what you just explained on the PERTE is quite interesting indeed. As a what is the next step after the recognition of the importance of social economy, of how to in practice, implement on the ground things that can actually help concretely and also for the future. So that's really very useful to have a vision on how that can improve. And to be honest, some of the things that I hear in Spain or Italy or France are very hopeful, but also very far away from what I hear in Latvia or Poland so there is still a lot to get the countries together. So thank you very much for this invitation. It was very also instructive for me. Thank you.
Muchas. Y Mavi, si tienes unas palabras para cerrar.
Mavi, do you have anything to say to close this section? No, I would like to thank you as well. I believe this is a moment to learn. I was happy to learn from Ruth and to share this space with Ruth and with all of you. We need to continue working. I believe this is what we have to do. We need to use momentum of all the strength we have and use all the means and improve things even better and continue to meet our goals. So thank you, Mavi. And so we have now Christmas time to come up with projects and to continue with this plan. So thank you. And I give the floor to Carmen Como for the second section or session of this presentation. Thank you.
Buenos días a todos.
Good morning to all of you accompanying us on the spot and online. This for this event organized by CEPES and the Social Economy Ministry. So in this first session, we are trying to trickle down this action plan. And we've heard talking about many keys Ruth mentioned. And today we have another important person coming from the European Union. I don't know if she is connected already. So let's welcome now.
Buenos días, good morning.
So thank you very much. I was introducing you to the presence, Anna Anathalopoulos. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your surname well. So she's a key person in the construction of this action plan for social economy at European level. She's committed to the industry. We've been working with her, as Juan Antonio mentioned in his presentation. We've been working with her and with Ruth. So she's really committed to social economy. Anna is the head of unit of proximity and creative industry of the DG GROW, the European Union. And she played a very important role and will have a very important role for the development of this action plan. Anna, thank you for your availability, for being with us. We know how difficult it is in these moments to meet, and thank you for your effort. Thank you, Ruth, also for her effort to participate. Practically 300 people from Spain and from other countries are joined, so your presentation is going to be very important for them. We asked Anna to complement on the action plan, talking about two important aspects we didn't mention so far. So you will have, Anna, 15 minutes to discuss a little bit further on the initiatives of the action plan that will have a direct impact on a regional level. Some topics have already been mentioned, but Anna is going to focus on this topic. And we also asked Anna to explain us further the initiatives the European Union is implementing or will implement for the industrial ecosystem for social economy, which is extremely important. Let me remind you, the European Union defined 14 important ecosystems for recovery, and one of them is social economy. So it is extremely important what Anna is going to tell to us, very important. So Anna, without further ado, you have the floor. Thank you, Carmen, and good morning. I'm happy to be able to participate from Brussels at this event. I would like to thank CEPES for the invitation and the chairman, Juan Antonio Pedreño, for the kind introduction. I'm here to present the initiatives we are developing within the European industrial policy to foster the role of social economy as an agent for inclusive growth and as an agent of the ecological and digital transition. And I have three messages I wanted to share with you. And now I will continue in English, says the speaker.
You have been discussing already since this morning, is a milestone year for the social economy in EU policies. First of all, the European Action Plan for the Social Economy, which you have been discussing together with Ruth and also Maravillas and Juan Pedreño, brought together a decade of policy efforts following the Social Business Initiative of 2011, and at the same time sets out our broad policy framework for the next decade. At the same time, also last year, the EU industrial strategy, as Carmen mentioned, identified proximity and social economy as one of the 14 industrial ecosystems critical for the twin green and digital transition of the European economy, for sustainable recovery, and also for strategic autonomy. And with that, for the first time, the social economy finds its visible place at the center of EU policies for industry, for entrepreneurship, for SMEs, and the single market. And this actually brings me to my first message, that the social economy is indeed present in European policies, and actually there is a momentum gathering in the last years. But with that comes responsibility, it comes actually a question that we need to address, all of us together, which is how can we make the most of this momentum in order to advance the convergence between the social, the green, and the digital, and actually make the business case for the social economy when we are building a sustainable future for Europe. And this is why, in the context of EU industrial policy and SME policy, we are particularly active within the Social Economy Action Plan, in particular in its second pillar, which is about, as Ruth mentioned, opening up opportunities and supporting capacity building. It's very much about putting together and improving the business environment for the social economy and social entrepreneurs, and actually also looking how we can improve aspects linked with the functioning of the single market. For instance, looking at legal forms. We have the form for the European cooperatives already since the beginning of 2000, and we are currently working on a new legal form for European associations to enable them to work cross borders in the single market. At the same time, we're very much aware that this will not solve everything. It's clear, and you also feel it in your daily work, that chronic challenges do not always allow enterprises in the social economy, and especially smaller structures, to tap fully into market opportunities. First of all, lack of skills and business capacity, And that also becomes in itself a barrier often to accessing funding and creating a vicious circle around it. Second, the challenge of viable business-to-business cooperations or public and private partnerships in order to help open up markets for the social economy and create material and value flows for the provision of goods and services. And this is actually particularly relevant for the green and circular economy and the role that the social entrepreneurs can play in the green and circular economy. Third, of course, and very much talked about, the challenge of the digital transformation. It's true that digital and data maturity, as we call it, is rather uneven within the social economy ecosystem and rather low. And the same with that, access to adapt technology, access to affordable technology remains a chronic challenge in terms both of costs, but also in terms of an overall capacity to turn technologies and data into business assets. Next to these chronic challenges, unfortunately, we have seen already in the last couple of years that new and emerging challenges and crises have been added. And I'm thinking here about, of course, making a transition which is just and inclusive and not leaving anyone behind. Obviously, I'm thinking of the disrupted supply chains since COVID and now with the war in Ukraine. We're all faced at the same time, regardless of the economic sector and social economy actors, even more with the impacts of inflation and, of course, the impacts of the energy crisis. So these elements actually bring me to my second message that I wanted to share with you today. And it's this one. At least this is the basis on which we are placing our work at the part of the Commission I represent today. Despite the landscape of these chronic challenges or the emerging crises, we see that the twin green and digital transition can offer a window of opportunity for social entrepreneurs to adapt further, to transform themselves, to scale, and also enter new markets. We see the social economy as part of the answer to the green and digital transition, but we also understand that for this to happen, we need to have a shared understanding of the challenges and the opportunities, and also a shared sense of direction for our action. And maybe with that, we can now show the slides that I wanted to share with you today, and I'll be grateful if the organizers project it, because I would like to explain to you how we are trying to put together with stakeholders in a participatory way, a shared pathway for the green and digital transition of the social economy. Actually, what you see on the slide, this transition pathway for proximity and social economy, we presented it a month ago on the 14th of November in Brussels and online. And it's one of the key deliverables on one hand of the Social Economy Action Plan and of the EU Industrial Strategy on the other. This pathway is basically a list of action areas where we hope to pool resources together, pool attention and efforts, not only at European level, but also within the member states and among private actors. It consists of 14 action areas, 7 for the green transition and 7 for the digital transition. And behind them, you will find 30 concrete actions and measures. If you want to learn more about it, you will see at the bottom right of the slide the link where you can find more information about what this transition pathway is about. What I would like to say here is that what you see on the slide is not what the Commission thinks is relevant for the green and digital transition of the proximity and social economy, but it's rather what we identified and developed together with more than 400 stakeholders that we have worked with through 12 workshops during the last 10 months. And actually, your voices, the voices of social entrepreneurs, from Spain were present, and through CEPES, who actively participated in the workshops, but also through the Social Economy Europe, which is the umbrella organization for social economy in the EU. And I want to thank you particularly for these meaningful insights. Now, this transition pathway and the 14 action areas, on one way, summarize the challenges and the opportunities for the social economy to fully participate in the digital and green transition, not only in terms of what they need, but also in terms of what they can do, what they can bring, what you can bring to the broader transition and transformation of the economy and the society. For instance, to look at some examples, we're putting particular emphasis on supporting strategic circular partnerships between enterprises in the social economy and mainstream enterprises in different industrial value chains and ecosystems. For instance, in textiles, in food, in retail, electronics, in construction, or plastics. Also, looking at the green transformation, there's particular calls and measures to help social economy entrepreneurs to green their own operations and actually access advisory services and support to measure better their carbon footprint and improve in that area. Looking at the digital aspects, for instance, there's particular attention on how we can better enable and raise awareness about the digital social innovation and tech for good solutions in order to scale them up, but also how we can improve the data maturity within the ecosystem. Also, one way would be, for instance, to develop together a code for conduct for data management in the social economy. That's one very specific example, for instance. So with that, we hope that this transition pathway, which is our transition pathway, your transition pathway, will be actually a useful tool in the hands of social economy actors, but also of policymakers in the member states and in the regions to accelerate the green and digital transition of the social economy, but also to tap into concrete funding existing in the member states in order to further make progress in these 14 action areas. So this transition pathway is very much about pulling the action together, pulling resources together, and mobilizing all of us. And that's certainly an effort for the years to come. And this is why, of course, on the part of the Commission, we are putting our money where our mouth is, and I will explain the actions that we have in place to support the transition pathway and more broadly the social economy. But we're also calling upon you to come forth with your commitments, your pledges around these 14 action areas. We have launched a call for pledges. It's a rolling one, it's an open one for the years to come, but the first cutoff date is the end of February, 28th of February, and I will welcome you to think about it and submit your pledges. On the link on the site, you can find more information, and also on the 26th of January, we are organizing an information session for everybody who's interested to explain more how you can prepare this pledge. What we will continue to do on the side of the Commission is to continue working together with the stakeholders on this co-implementation of the transition pathway in order to support the broader policy objectives of the action plan, but also of the industrial strategy. And at the same time, as I mentioned, we run actions to support social entrepreneurs face chronic challenges, but also seize the opportunities of the green and digital transition and access new markets. How do we do that? First of all, we do it by federating cooperation and reaching scale of efforts. And let me mention a couple of examples. First of all, in the area of skills, we have facilitated the setting up of a large-scale skills partnership under the EU Pact for Skills, specifically for the proximity and the social economy ecosystem. This mobilizes close to 190 actors so far, public and private, and the effort behind it is to invest and pool resources together, improve our knowledge on skills forecasts and needs for the social economy, and also see how we can better connect with available funding in the member states to indeed fund upskilling and reskilling of the social economy. One of the targets of this partnership is to upskill and reskill 5% of the workforce each year. And we're happy to see that actors from Spain, including regions, are among those 190 signatories of this partnership. Another example through which we try to federate cooperation is our work with European regions interested to work in social economy. So what we have been trying to do is to put together and mobilize a network, a community of European social economy regions, as we call it, the ESER network, which allows them, on one hand, to reinforce their own policies in their territories on social economy and learn from each other. We have more than 100 regions working and being active in this community, among them many Spanish regions and municipalities. And at the same time, we are also providing some funding, some seed money to accompany these efforts through the social economy missions, where we support more broadly regional authorities and local authorities and also social economy actors to learn from each other on different topics, from socially responsible public procurement to the legal framework and how to put it in place, to fighting unemployment or how to set up local green deals. So for that purpose, we have mobilized in 2020 to 2021, 4.3 million, and that supports 20 projects with 30 beneficiaries. And I'm really pleased that looking among them, there's a strong presence of Spanish regions and municipalities from Catalonia to Navarra to Galicia, Andalusia, Murcia, but also Barcelona, Santander, Cartagena, and Valencia. So we hope to continue with that work and reinforce further our work through the ESER network and the social economy missions. Another way through which we try to federate cooperation is the so-called industrial alliances, where we try to bring together different actors, public and private, along different supply chains and value chains. Why one of the main efforts there is to support, to see how we can address disruptions and how we can create new value in those industrial chains. Why do I mention this? Because we feel that the social economy and social entrepreneurs can be the missing link in some sectors, the missing link between the customers or the consumers, the communities, and industries on the other hand. For instance, think of recycled materials for electronics or textiles. Think also about agriculture or the food sector, but also think about the energy sector and the photovoltaic panels, for instance. And in this regard, I would like to bring to your attention a new alliance, the latest that we have launched, which is a solar photovoltaic industry alliance. The call is open, and I would like to encourage the participation of many social economy actors in this alliance, because I think you can bring a different insight in this very important supply chain that we're trying to develop in Europe, also as a way to reinforce the local markets. Now, a second way through which we're trying to engage with the social economy and support entrepreneurs in the social economy is through specific support to the SMEs in the social economy. And there again, this takes different forms. One way is through business support networks, and we have a very big network which also supporting social economy, and it's called the Europe Enterprise Network. In Spain alone, there are 41 local contact points for this network, for Europe Enterprise Network, where you can find dedicated support to find partners, to see how you can scale up, move across borders, but also how you can improve in terms of sustainability. There's dedicated sustainability advisors, for instance. So there, I would invite you to look up who are these 41 EEN local contact points in Spain and go and knock on their door and seek their help, because they receive our support and EU money to help you on the ground. Another way through which we're trying to help you reach and access markets is through dedicated work on public procurement, and especially socially responsible public procurement. There we work specifically to raise awareness in the member states, both among policy officers, those running public procurement in the member states, but also social economy actors, in order to make them aware of the new rules that are in place in the EU since 2017, which give a lot of opportunities also to develop socially responsible public procurement, and we would like to see more of it happening in the member states. In line with that, also, we're trying to open up private procurement and see how we can bring social enterprises closer to mainstream enterprises. And for that purpose, we have launched a new action for the first time to test this. And through 1.3 million, we will support some projects to create local and regional partnerships to improve collaboration between social economy entities and mainstream businesses. And also supporting SMEs, more specifically when it comes to the green transition, we have a new call for proposals, which is currently open. The deadline for applications is the 14th of February. And there our effort is through the 6 million that we're mobilizing under the Single Market Program, is to boost the capacity of small and medium enterprises in the social economy to green their operations, and also enable them through that to contribute further to the green transition. And last, maybe, and something new that will start next year, it's building on the European Social Innovation Competition that we have been running since some years now. We will put together a European network of social entrepreneurs and social innovators, building on the network of those who have participated in the European Social Innovation Competition in the past, but also expanding it. And the effort is to create a European community of social innovators so that they can learn from each other, and also to help them bring their ideas, their proposals, and their business solutions closer to the market and closer to public services or public authorities, and closer to the local communities. So these are small contributions on our side to the action areas of the transition pathway. Certainly there's more to do, and we will continue listening to the stakeholders about what the needs are, where the barriers are, to see how we can help address those through cooperation at European level, and through support that we can federate through the EU budget. And this brings me to the final message, which I hope is a message of hope, because yes, indeed, looking around, we are faced with many crises, many challenges. But it's exactly the scale of these challenges and the scale of the crisis that is a strong invitation for all of us to join forces, to combine action, and to see how we can mobilize our resources in a complementary manner. And this is particularly relevant in the case of social economy, which is rooted locally, on the ground, close to the territories, close to the communities. So we hope that the transition pathway that we have put in place as this framework for the green and the digital transition will serve its purpose, indeed, to reinforce the convergence between the social, the green, and the digital, and see how we can mobilize concrete investments and funding in the member states for that purpose. And this is an effort that depends on all of us. We count on your commitment, on your continued cooperation. And my presence here today is actually to show you that there's always a window in Brussels and a door open to the social economy, including social entrepreneurs in Spain. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias, Ana, por tu explicación. Has dado
Thank you,
muchísimas
Anna, for your explanation. I think you have given us many important key points that we didn't know so well. Obviously, we are facing very important challenges in digitization and the circular economy, the green economy, as you have said. And I think that the action plan, together with the Spanish strategy regarding social economy that will be soon passed, and with all the different instruments for funding, we will be able to achieve things and to convey these to our companies as well. So thank you very much for this pathway that you have shown us. We will disseminate this to all the participants here because unfortunately, we could not read the screen very well, but this will allow us to be in line with this pathway that you have set up for us and that we believe that is so important with these 14th channels that we need to follow. And I also wanted to ask you a question. The next roundtable that we will be having here today will give us experiences from 3 different governments, the 3 different regional governments in Spain that are working very intently with the social economy. And you have talked about a European network, a European regional network that you have mentioned that there are over 100 regions working together. And are they open to inviting new regions to cooperate?
Yes, actually, it's a network that is already existing. Obviously, the experience during COVID brought a disruption in the way that we can engage directly with regional actors. But our intention is indeed to, during next year, to launch a new call for expression to interested regions, because we would like to bring new blood and more diversity in this network so that we can continue to work with it in a dynamic way. And they have actually contributed in a very relevant manner to the transition pathway during the co-creation process with the stakeholders. And we're also meeting some of these regions in a dedicated event in January to see how we can collect the pledges. But yes, Carmen, to reply to your question, we will launch a call for expression, and we hope to see many new regions joining, and even more regions from Spain joining.
Vale, ahora pues muchísimas gracias. Nosotros hemos
Thank you so much, Anna. We have taken good note of all the homework that you have set for us in these workshop, in this working session that we had. On the 20th of January, we will be paying attention to what goes on there so that we can disseminate this information so that our companies can also have access to these funds. From Spain, there's a great mobilization from companies from the social economy, mainly cooperatives and labor companies that are working in the energy fields, the food sector that is so, agro-food sector that is so important for Spain. And this call that you're mentioning is very important for us. We will be paying attention to any news regarding this new call. And obviously, we believe that this network at a European level is extremely important. And we find that something that is very much in line with what Spain is doing is this network of entrepreneurs and innovators, because our challenge is to invest in the technology field with the emerging sectors that are coming up, and we need to promote and enable the new young blood to invest in this sector. And you have given us many important key ideas to keep working, and we will make sure that these are disseminated in Spain so that we can also participate in this. So thank you very much, Anna.
Bueno, pues ya hemos terminado esta.
So this brings us to the finish of the first sessions from the European Commission representatives, and we will be having now a round table that once we are all set up. As you have seen, in the third session, we will be giving the voice to some regional governments, as Juan Antonio mentioned in his presentation. We want to thank all the representatives from all regional governments who are here with us today. Some of them are online, some of them are with us, and I would like to ask them to join us on stage. Covadonga, who is the representative from Galicia, José Antonio Riquelme, who is coming from the Murcia, and Adesuaga, coming from the Basque country. I will be sitting down next to them. I will be sitting down next to them. It's a pleasure for me to be here in this roundtable with you, because these three regional governments, as Juan Antonio mentioned earlier before, the image that we are giving to Europe, there are many autonomous regions that already have strategies promoting social economy in their territories. But we have here the representatives from Basque Country, Murcia, and Galicia. Each of them has a different history, and the three of them have a very strong business fabric within the social economy. There's a great association fabric also within each of these regional territories, and they're all very committed. These governments are very committed with social economy. They're already working in this field, and the representatives from the European Union have already mentioned the important advancements that are being made in the different regional governments. Each of them here are at different stages. I think that Murcia is the leading region, already developing their fifth action plan. Each plan has a different name, but Galicia has different assets, and the Basque Country also has its own assets. And all of the regions that are listening to us today have actually in place their own strategic plans or are planning to implement them. And with this panel that we will be having here today, with the three regional governments and the three general directors that we have, and that also work with the CEPE, and to whom we want to thank for their involvement and the help with the work with the CEPE, we have decided to focus this debate. We are not doing badly in terms of the timing, but we will try not to take too much of your time. And I will ask them several questions so that they can give each of us their viewpoint to add to the debate. For what we have seen up until now, the action plan will not be successful if the regional communities, since the town halls, the different municipalities, the regions, if they do not join in to help, the action plan will not be successful. We have 29 great partners in CEPE. We have 220 structures supporting all the companies. And without the support and the regional government supports, all our actions would be impossible to implement. So my first question for you is, what are the measures or the domains of the action plan that can add or that have an added value to the plans that you're already implementing in your own territories? Let us start with you, Antonio. First of all, I would like to thank you for this invitation. I think it's extremely important that to have Europe, Spain, the different regional governments and municipalities represented here. And the fact that we are so advanced in this social economy has a lot to do with your president. So thank you again thanks. I would like to thank again Juan Antonio for his work. I know his role has been key in the position that we have at the moment within Europe. And I think that all the tools that we need to implement are actually key to convey, to give visibility to social economy. We do not have such a big problem here in Spain in terms of giving visibility to social economy as they do in other countries in Europe, but this will enable us to grow, to scale up. This does not mean just grow for the sake of it. It might not sound too nice, but when you have a certain size, you can actually push the administration to help the social economy grow at different levels. This is what we have been doing in Murcia for a long time already. And I would like to mention several things that have to do with the importance of the social economy in Murcia. A few weeks ago was the strategy for 22-27 was presented, and one of the strengths of our region was highlighted, and it was the social economy. This allows us that when it comes to allocating the budgets, we have already a good this will represent, social economy will represent 77% of this budget. And we have gone back to the aids that we received in 2021. We have a very important part devoted to insertion, which is 116%. And this is all thanks to this sort of pressure, thanks to the size that the social economy has in our region. Over 2,200 companies and over 100,000 workers. And this will enable us to have access to different aids from public and private funds, and up until 2027. We have done something that other regional governments have not done. Maravillas has already left, and there are certain conflicts here, and they have to do with the minimis. Valencia has implemented this. We will be implementing this as well, because otherwise we would be leaving some insertion companies outside of this. They were already included in the field of employment, but not in insertion. But we will be launching this in a couple of days, the minimis exemption. Ruth has mentioned the socially committed hiring. A couple of years we passed this at our government, but we have not implemented this. It actually entails breaking, so to speak, some of the structures of hiring within the administration. So all these webinars that will take place for the training of public servants are going to be very important, especially with regards to this recruitment of people. And we will try to be where we should be at this by now. And to wrap up, many of you took part in the Congress regarding on social economy. That included 2 days, one more technical, one that was open, where we could hear many important speakers such as Jorge Valdano. Many football lovers will know who he is. And he told us to step out of the social economy to give visibility of this outside our own field. And with this, I will stop. I will give the floor to our next colleague. Well, first of all, I would also like to congratulate CEPES for this initiative because it enables us to share experiences and to listen and to learn a lot. There are so many things that I have learned from Europe. I've been writing down so many notes. There are so many windows that are open, things that we need to know. For Galicia, it is a very important input opportunity. We've been convinced for many years, and Celso is here today, and he's a firm believer in the PPP. We believe that entities are key in order for us to implement instruments and policies that are useful, that can give the right response to the productive fabric. In 2016, in Galicia, we kicked it off and kicked off a strategy. And now we're going to start a second part of this program in order to have a greater debate, a closer debate with all the entities and government. We are convinced that we will achieve an excellent cooperation in order to grow in terms of economy. What is the contribution of a European plan, of a Spanish plan, and the fact that the regional governments have also been working on this for a long time? Well, it helps for social economy to be more visible. It's important to know what social economy means. It's for us, it's to create employment, and anything that has to do with the economy and employment, Galicia will support it because our aim is to give a response of the problem of not being able to keep our population within the territories. And I think we need to boost this. We need to focus also in collective entrepreneurship. I think we need to focus in creating new companies. As Murcia, Galicia keeps increasing the budget because at the end of the day, we need to put money into this in order to be more dynamic, to move forward. Also, we need to work on education. We need to start working on teaching what investing in the collective means and the importance of it. It's sort of being evangelists of these change and this transformation. And I think it's the time for social economy. We've been lucky because thanks to CEPES and thanks to our Galician forum, we have been the Spanish capital of social economy. This is another way of calling everybody's attention, of letting everybody know that we're here, that we are creating enterprises. The European plan is key. I love the focus, the importance that it has been given, in particular because it helps us to grow at a regional level. I think that we need to keep working in creating companies and boosting the growth, scaling up, improving competitiveness, because I think this is the way to increase the employment, to better the employment. And I think that it's very important also to have this legal framework. I think that we need to pass, there is an important legislation that needs to be passed. Europe needs to work in this field since they do not listen to us very often. We believe that there are many things that need to be changed also at a Spanish level. Taxation is something that needs to be harmonized further, and also the regional governments need better instruments in order for us to develop our plans better. And just to wrap up, I would like to say that we are at the right time for creating employment by using our formula, our mechanisms. Thank you, Covadonga.
Joking, you have the floor. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for being here to contribute with what we do. So that was a little bit of a preview on the plan. First of all, I would like to congratulate the Commission for this plan. This plan was really appropriate and necessary. Countries were moving forward on their own, and the Commission was a little bit lagging behind. And I think that therefore that is very important. So the plan addresses many different topics. So the approach, the broad approach, is very interesting, and it's also interesting to see how many in many fields. This is interesting. The ILO, the OECD, the UN are increasingly being interested on that. And they are becoming allies for economy because we're giving global problems a local answer, and we are there to support them to do exactly that. Now, talking about this, the plan specifically, countries mention the different levels, the different percentages they have, and there is a great diversity in the European member states, and this is something we are going to address in Saint Sebastian next year when it will become the capital. So 10, 20, 30, 40. So 10% has already been reached. So we want to double social economy by 2040. That's why we talk about 20-20-40. So the challenge is to establish more companies to create more jobs in social economy. And there are two interesting levers to do that: youth and training. Youth is the future, and younger members of society should be supported. And of course, training and education is key. Talent, training, youth have talent, and they are really interested in developing these activities even further. And then the second thing would be dissemination and visibility. The challenge is that in all the events and all the activities that will be conducted by San Sebastian as the capital will be materialized in conclusion. So we will be working on a one-year basis. So the plan is a little bit short in terms of reaching, because we talk about environment as a business model or gains being reinvested for social benefits, but we also want to include a second aspect of social economy, which is a business-driven goal. Huge cooperatives that do not fit within this definition. So the good thing is to focus social economy on other business models that are successful with gains, and we believe many people can benefit from that as well. So the social and the business fabric is huger, is bigger, with a redistribution of gains and many other benefits. So this approach is a little bit short in Euskadi. We have thousands of workers, we have thousands of partners in Euskadi, and Euskadi has become a benchmark in this regard. Talking more specifically about the plan, the definition of the legislation or the law is key. In Spain, is clear. Even if the law is not very complicated, the law establishes what the playing field is with the different families, etc., which is extremely important at European level. So setting what the playing field is, knowing exactly what are the rules they will apply when playing this game. Now that we are experiencing the World Cup, we know about playing fields and games is. So now we are developing the cooperative registry, and we are developing the Cooperatives Act even further, which is very interesting in my opinion. The European Commission plan deals with transition. And of course, we are using, for example, digital platforms to develop this, and this is very important for Euskadi, or energy communities. Yesterday, for example, because we had an extraordinary call for energy communities for Euskadi, 2 million inhabitants, and 20 cooperatives have been registered in the registry, cooperatives for energy corporations, with thousands of citizens having access to green energy. In a circular economy, we try to boost activities and participation in care, energy communities, finances. These are the domains we are developing. And item 4.4 of the plan talks about learning, European Center for Competences. So we discussed this with the education department, and we've included this within an interdepartment plan. So all the departments are acting together. So the Department for Education will include competencies and knowledge on social economy. So there is a European legislation that must be mainstreamed at a local level, regional level, and then local level. There are 8 compulsory skills, and one of them is entrepreneurship. So we want collective entrepreneurships to be explained exactly as individual entrepreneurship is explained. So we are developing some material to include this topic of social economy at all levels of education, primary, secondary, and university level. So this is regulated education and non-regulated education. Also, we need to develop further research in universities. And in terms of research, we would like to establish a national, European, or international think tank to boost research and to foster the collaboration of public and private partners to develop this think tank even further. And let me conclude by saying something on item 5 of the European plan, dealing with quantitative and qualitative information. For more than 10, 12 years, I would say, we have a very complete statistics data on social economy with all the aspects, with all the details. And this information has been uploaded on our website. You can have access to see this. And I think this is important, but also important is to measure and compare our situation against other countries, other regions, other social economy families, because we've divided all social economy into families. This is in terms of quantitative information. In terms of qualitative information, Roberto Bertolazza, a university professor, has developed some measures of social quantification of this qualitative information, which is not measured. So the qualitative aspect of social economy is also important. So improvement, social equality, redistribution, social justice, which are things that are very difficult to measure, but can be measured. And we've been doing this for years. And this is your availability for you to see it on our website. 2 more things to conclude. All this is included in the calls we launched to support the industry, as it is the case in all the different regions and structure. I mean, calls for structures, for other industries, for education. So this has been included in an interdepartment action plan that is on our website as well. So I would like to thank the 3 speakers. Many topics have been addressed, as you can see. It's a pleasure for us to hear to listen, I'm sorry, to you, because we can see the different added value, of the different regions. And this is part of a CEPES agenda as well. For example, the minimis exemption to different organization of social economy, integration companies, and special employment center. So this is non-for-profit organization. And in the reform, the ministry is working out on social economy is one of the requests we proposed. And the representation of integration companies in the regulation of these integration companies will be included in the reform of the law. And this is part of the exemption established by the Commission, which does not mean that each company will have to require authorization, or it is the case now, but it's going to be so set in the future. As Juan Antonio mentioned, and Ruth also mentioned public procurement. There are some social clauses for public procurement open to social economy, which are unknown, and it's difficult to have access to them because civil servants have not been trained to do that, and also companies have not been trained to that. So knowing this will allow us to grow and to having scale economy to grow even more. Because this is the goal of the European plan. This is actually the goal of each of the strategies and the plans of the regions. The education plan Covadonga mentioned, and also you are really advanced in this regard. This is part of the Spanish strategy for social economy. This is something that should be worked out. It's very political. It also relies on the work of other ministry, but it's key to make visibility, to make this more visible, to know that when you complete your education, you know that this is also a possibility for career development. Because when I was at the university, I only had 2 hours of explaining what a cooperative is, and that was it. But so, as you can see, this is a challenge, both in Europe and in Spain. Your local governments are increasing budgets, which is also a challenge, but the statistics are very interesting. CEPES and Europe are working on that. And this is something we've been working out for a long time, and we need the Statistics National Institute is also working for the new strategy. So social accountability and the impact is very clear that has to be measured. Focusing on small things, whenever you listen to commission speakers and other actors, they sometimes make social economy to be seen as something small, but there's a contribution that can be made by Spain, Portugal, France, and Italy, where many social economy enterprises exist. In the Basque country is also the case. All the regions have their own interests, and all the regions have leading companies that work at a national level, European level, and international level. So focusing on the small is okay, but Spain has a contribution to make because many good practices will be implemented to make the small bigger. And many things have been complemented to this debate. I don't know if you are doing this, but it is important to know, especially those regions that are listening to us today, participating in this event, every organization that could be part of this network, of course, please join to make everything we do visible. The second question I wanted to ask you is something I insisted to Anna. So the social economy region network, Spain is one of the main players in this regard. Spain, Portugal, and Italy have a strong association strength, something probably that Nordic countries have less. There are already 40 Spanish regions, being part of that, and many things have been done on the territory. So the question is, based on your experience and based on what you do now, how can we reinforce this network with initiatives, with projects that are already being implemented, or initiatives or projects that will be implemented in the future, in order for you to use the financial instruments, especially FSS Plus or FEDER funds, in order to face the challenges of green digital transition, so let's start with the Joaquin, and then we follow the order the other way around. So the question is broad and complex. However, I think the most important thing or something we can share or convey is success stories. I think it is very important to know that some projects work out well, ideas that work out well, that could be used as an example. So it is by doing that we can show better. So entrepreneurship. We have a territorial planning program, which is very interesting, and we join together entrepreneurship organizations, associations, or universities that come together to develop entrepreneurship. And then Ambite, which is an organization for collective entrepreneurship, something that was opaque to date, and also equal conditions. So putting social economy on an equal footing compared to the other entrepreneurship ideas. Also, the Mondragon University, which is a cooperative, has a degree on entrepreneurship, which has already been established and well established at a business level. As I said before, digital platforms. Let me give you a couple of examples on this. The Mondragon University has a postgraduate degree on digital platforms. So this course is already a digital platform because digital platform is being used for students coming from different parts of the world. So this is just an example. Another example is a digital platform for distribution in cities. There are small cooperatives that are delivering at a local level, and all this will be done with a software that was purchased from foreign companies. But we want to develop this in Spain, and we want to link cities and small cooperatives to each other to make the network even bigger. So this is a challenge. This poses a challenge, which is the regulation on digital platforms. We know what happened with the platforms on the free market. We don't want the same to happen with the cooperatives. The model should be different, where cooperativism and workers prevail. So we need to regulate on that as well. So these are the two examples I wanted to give you concerning digital platforms. Also, energy communities. This is something interesting for the green and the digital transition. There are thousands of people connected to these energy communities. Now, talking about a project at a world level. Of course, as I said before, a think tank will be established that will be national, but connected to Europe and to the world in order to develop social economy even further. The fourth aspect I wanted to mention is related to how we are in relationship with other countries. The first end of studies memoir award was given yesterday at Mondragon University. I was a little surprised. I didn't know what it was. 300 projects, 300 end of studies projects were presented from Spain, Europe, and the rest of the world. So this is a way to connect different universities, different countries, different graduate students. Another initiative is the Mondragon City Challenge. This is the second time. So this is entrepreneurship for younger people. So students that who create real cooperatives with a business plan, with a feasibility plan. And what we do with that is to disseminate the information and give awards to them. We are creating a social economy festival, which is very festive, but it's related to new technologies young people use. I don't know if you know the song festival with the marketing campaigns made by companies. And in this festival, we see the different categories, and each categories for this gets an award. So we want to replicate this Sun Festival, but for social economy. For example, give me a picture of social economy, give me a motto of social economy, and awards will be given for young people. So sending messages on social economy with pictures and using social media. Also, cartoon, a 2-minute cartoon or TikTok videos, which is something in fashion. And all this is broadcast on social media, which is a way to disseminate everything that is presented in the festival. We're working to present this at the Saint Sebastian capital. We have agreements with Uruguay, with Argentina, with other countries in Latin America that want to know more about our model. And also we have in Southern Aquitaine, we have also another project with this region. So it's very interesting to know all the initiatives you have. Some of them I was not aware of, some others I was aware of, but digital platforms and energy communities are important, very important for social economy movements. So self-consumption, energy communities, subject to a cooperative form are very interesting, but we are still to know what the implementation, according to the legislation, this is going to be. So thank you very much to talk about all the initiatives. It's very interesting to make all this known by Europe and by the other world. So each autonomous region is each region is doing many things, but many things are still to be learned. Covadonga, yes, the European funds are an opportunity. As I said before, talking about policies and actions require funds, which are an opportunity that should be used by regional authorities. And each authority use these funds according to the actions lines that have been pre-established. For Galicia, in terms of social economy, and we started working a while ago, and I'm going to focus now, as Joaquin mentioned, as entrepreneurship. So we started working with entrepreneurship poles. 12 poles will be distributed in Galicia, and one coordinating town will be established. In Euskadi, they mentioned Anbide, and when we talk about establishing companies, this should be linked to the people looking for a job. That is why it is important for social economy to be part of the work done by each regional authority. In Galicia, not only do we talk about funding for establishing companies, but also we will be working on loan. So 5 million for establishing companies is a little limited, but however, everything is being used. So many cooperatives have been established. The most important thing in Galicia is the creation of cooperatives. More than over 50% of these companies have been promoted by women. So an equality change is being produced, because the role of women in social economy is also something interesting to follow up, which is also a very interesting element for democratization and organization. It is very interesting for women to become entrepreneurship of the social economy. Something else I wanted to mention about entrepreneurship poles. So not only tools and assistance is going to be provided, but also monitoring. So this ongoing monitoring and accompaniment will be ensured, because when you start a company, so what you need is probably a group of skills, but then throughout the project must be accompanied or monitored. So for this, collective entrepreneurship is key. So we started with education and training of our staff members. I believe responsible education is key. Nothing will be changed if the civil servants don't change. So capacity building at an internal level is also key. So capacity building at an internal level and education at an internal level and training at an internal level is key. And we've started doing this. And also, employment public services are key. Sometimes we understand them as being only employment offices or bureaus, but it's a public service. So it is important for public employment offices to talk about social economy, which is something that entails the modernization of this public service, public employment service. And in Galicia, we are incorporating technologies. Also, the digital transformation of the authorities is key to be able to reach out. So what I wanted to say is that all the European funding is used to boosting, establishing entrepreneurship companies, but to make growth stable. And this is the only thing that will enable the stabilization of territories. So the PERTE issue is very recent, so let's not tackle this now. So let's see what is going to happen with PERTE by 2023, by October 2023. We still don't know, but there's a window of opportunities and partnerships should be created. I think my colleague is going to mention alliances and partnerships. So PPPs are important. Organizations are indispensable. Regions, territories, and the local authorities are also very interesting and important. So, but I know if I was able to answer to the question, but European funding is key for social economy, investment, and people, because social economy is based on people and job creation. Thank you, Covadonga. What you mentioned, as Juan Antonio mentioned at the beginning of this event, Spain is one of the countries that managed to have a social economy as one of the action lines, thanks to CEPES, thanks to our structure, thanks to the commitment to of the Spanish government. At that time, and the current government are really committed to that. And in terms of entrepreneurship, the board of directors of CEPE mentioned that entrepreneurship should be funded, but as well accompanied to avoid companies to disappear after 5 years, because we face entrepreneurship entrepreneurship that were well not known before, that technological-based entrepreneurship. Traditional entrepreneurship is always going to be there, but this technological entrepreneurship require qualification of all the workers and entrepreneurs.
So when everything is implemented, all the regional governments who have the possibility of handling also the European funds, we could establish lines for coordination so that we can learn from each other, so that we can complement each other, etc. So that's very important. Antonio, sorry about that. Yeah, well, regarding the European Social Fund, with the current operational plan, we have recovered about 15,000 15 million euro. And it's very difficult sometimes to innovate. And sometimes it's hard to change your ways. And this has not enabled us to accessing 6 million euros that would have opened many possibilities for us. And it's really a pity because we do not change the model and placing the social economy at the very core. So it's very important to give visibility. And obviously in the administrations, it's the civil servants who are really in charge. And we need to reach that core, and so that they really have in their minds social economy and they keep it in mind at all times. So we have lost opportunities. We have kept the European Social Fund. We have also encountered the demographic challenge. We had help from the ministry coming from the European funds, but the regulatory bases were so strict that our regional government could not deal with that, and we requested 1 million euro, but we had to return 950,000 euro out of this, and we did not manage to change the criterion. That did not work very well for the reality that we have in Murcia. So all these good practices that Jürgen was saying, we have it in our 5th Pact for Social Economy. And this is what we need to highlight. We've been working on this for 20 years. It's a collaboration among the regional administration and the social economy companies. This has 7 axes, 70 actions. The 7th axis is specific of Europe, where we try to promote the to help these social economy companies to have access to the aids coming from Europe. And just to highlight some ideas or some good practices that you were mentioning, there's a program made by Ecomur, which is Testealo, which has been signed with the 2 public universities of the region that enables them to test the business before people can launch the business into the market. And once they have tested it, they can actually enter the market. And this is an extremely good idea that is working very well. They're even considering buying this idea from Europe. From the we have also accepted the 0 fee for freelancers, for self-employed people. They will be paying no fee for the first 2 years of their business, and this will probably boost these parts of the economy. Also, we've been working on circular economy, guide for agro-food, good practices for gender equality, different entrepreneurship activities within the school centers, and each of the different sides of this pact is perfectly in line with the European pact and the European program. I'm also listening to all your proposals, and I've taken good note of them. I will ask you more questions about them because they sound very interesting, and the initiative that we share between Galicia, Murcia, and Navarra is the protocol that we're signing with, where we will be sharing good practices. We will be establishing different workshops. We will see what they're doing in other regions, and we will be implementing them in our region, also with different common projects with several regions. So we're putting this European plan with our plan so that we can all improve further. This that you just mentioned is in line with what Ruth was saying, the importance of alliances, the role of universities with the different research lines. The Testealo project is one of our star projects from the previous program period, has been considered a very good practice among the hundreds of practices and projects that are received by the European Social Fund. And when people learn about it in detail, they really want to buy it because it involves a very nice cooperation between the different actors within the social economy, the companies, the academia, etc. It entails different things: universities, education, young people that we so much need in order to attract talent towards social economy. Well, I think that with these presentations from these different regional governments, that I'm sure that they have been sort of a mirror for the initiatives that are being carried out by other regional governments that are obviously extremely interesting. Our territory is very rich, very diverse, and very broad in certain aspects in certain areas. We have here representatives from Asturias, from Madrid. These are regions that have each their own specificities, but I'm sure that with all the things that we have learned and with the wonderful year that we are seeing coming, there are so many interesting things that we will be receiving, all the intelligent platforms, all the projects that you are dealing with from the regional governments. I think this will help us being even better leaders in terms of social economy. So thank you very much for your presentations, and I will give the floor now to, I think we are going to be wrapping this up all together. Let's put our hands together for our panelists and for Juan Antonio as well. Just listening to the last part of this panel, I was remembering that about 40 years ago, when I started in the cooperative world, there were many industries that do not exist anymore. The cooperatives were working in many sectors that do not exist anymore, none of them. And there were several cooperatives in different sectors. Now we're talking about something completely different. The cooperative world is being reinvented, reimagined every day. We're talking about emerging sectors, startups, and new sectors will come up as others disappear. In our community, in the cooperative community, there are many industries that have disappeared, but we have been reinventing ourselves. The competitiveness of our companies has grown, and we have not only not decreased the number of jobs, but increasing its number. In 1992, in Murcia, there were 3,500 jobs in the social economy. Now we have above 30,000 partners, and in terms of employment, we are around 80,000 jobs. And now it's a time for us to reinvent ourselves again. We're talking about digitization, new technologies, circular economy, emerging sectors, demographic challenges, green and digital transition. This is where we are going to be. We are lucky enough that before we didn't have any resources. We didn't. This sector was never mentioned. We had to find the way to keep going by ourselves, and we have always found this way. Social economy has grown without any legislation for the social economy. The legislation is from 2011, and we were growing long before that. But now that we have it, this is the basis for Europe to look at social economy. Crisis in 2008, in 2012, and now the pandemic. I could not listen to Anna, but she mentioned the social economy. She said that the pandemic had made the presidents and heads of states in the different European countries to look at commitment, social economy, and this has boosted the passing of this legislation. We have the resources, we have the means, we have a plan for boosting this of 100 million. If we had never had this money before, if we had only had that before, now we have a party that is 800 million euro, and since we cannot accomplish to use it, we're fearful, and now we fear to that we're going to be able, whether we're going to be able to present the number of projects enough to justify this 800 million. So we are lucky to have the Spanish strategy. We have 9 pacts, 9 regional governments that have already in place their own strategies in terms of social economy. There are 4 important levels. I always say this: the local level, which is where our companies are based on the ground, where they're born, where the municipalities need to support them. This level has been there always. The region is the next step. If the region is looking towards the social economy, it will help it grow. And if they look away, the social economy will definitely not grow. This is why they're so important to be on board. The third level is the state. And the first social economy was implemented in 2016. And before that, there was no strategy for the social economy. So Europe was not looking at the social economy, and they are the fourth level. Governments look up to Europe. If there is a positive response from Europe, governments implement the measures. Now we have the European umbrella, the state umbrella, the regional umbrella, and the local umbrella. So now it's for us to profit from this. And with this, I just want to thank you all for being here today. Thank all our panelists. Thank you to all our attendees. Thank you very much.